Our Chancellor, I just want our students from Palo Verde and Carly Queen to tell you a little bit about what they were doing here today.
So today, a group of myself and students, we are here today showing what we've done in our culturally relevant Mexican-American class. We were taught by Dr. Hollingsworth about the school-to-prison pipeline and microaggressions. This group of students, we all banded together to show and portray the microaggressions that have been committed at our school and ways to combat that. And we also had students do research on the school-to-prison pipelines and ways to prevent that, how we can prevent that at our own school, in our own community, to make it a more inclusive place.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here today. These students are really the future change makers of our community. Thank you. Okay, it is now it's my privilege now to introduce our Chancellor. Lee Lambert has been Chancellor of Pima Community College since July of 2013. He has extensive experience in human resources, legal affairs, and civil rights in community colleges. Chancellor Lambert has presented internationally on the role community colleges can play in educating and training the workforce of the 21st century, and he has written and presented on diversity and inclusion topics. Among his many honors, in 2015, Chancellor Lambert received a National Leadership Award from Asian Pacific Americans in higher education in recognition of his leadership in the field of higher education and contributions to the Asian Pacific Islander community. In 2016, he was recognized by the Victoria Foundation for contributions to Hispanic education. And he has also been recognized numerous times by the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC. Chancellor Lambert has been a strong supporter of ethnic, gender, and transborder studies at Pima Community College. And from my own personal conversations with him, I have seen firsthand his deep interest, enthusiasm, and passion in building this program. And I am just so pleased and honored to introduce, and please join me in welcoming Chancellor Lambert.
Thank you, David, for that wonderful introduction. And good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. What another great day for Pima Community College. Yes. I thought I'd share with you why this is important to me, not only personally, but professionally. But before I do that, I'd like to say that our nation's community colleges, especially Pima Community College, we are first and foremost institutions of social justice. We are where people's hopes and dreams meet opportunity. And without that opportunity portion of the equation, there is no way, it's very difficult to realize one's hopes and dreams. And our community colleges are essential for that to happen. So the work we're doing here at Pima, I could not be more proud of the faculty and the staff who have not lost hope that we would make this wonderful Center of Excellence happen someday at Pima. I'm glad to be part of that coming to fruition. So let's give it to the faculty and staff and the students in the college. So let me just say a few words from a personal note, because I don't usually talk a lot about my personal life, but I will just share a few tidbits, especially when it comes to social justice. My father is from the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and my grandparents, my grandfather is a mixed race, African American and French. My grandmother, although I've never been able to discern fully whether she's Lumbee or Cherokee, and when I asked her, she told me she's Lumbee. So that's my father's side of the family. And my father would tell me stories of when they would go into town and in the Jim Crow South, and they wanted to use the restroom, guess what? Sometimes there wasn't the restroom for people of color. So they had to go back home to use the restroom. That's embedded in my roots from my father's side. And then when the Great Depression hit, my grandparents, because they were a little bit better off than most folks in the community, they took in the community to live in their small log cabin. Because that's what community is about, right? When we need each other, we help each other. We as people of color understand that more than any group. So my mother is from Gwangju, South Korea. And she grew up in war-torn Korea during that time period. And you can only imagine what that must have been like. But they were very, very poor country, one of the poorest countries at that time in the history of the world. And she fortunately met my father. And many GIs back in those days, and I don't know if this is true of my situation, but a lot of GIs fathered children with Korean women that they never got to know and they left behind. I'm so fortunate that my father did the right thing. I was not left behind. I was brought back with my mom and my father to this wonderful country of ours. That's part of my roots, folks. And it's about social justice. And also, I've had my own personal experiences, moving in and out of the country and being treated. I was beaten up as a kid because I didn't look like everybody else. Some of you have had that experience. When I returned from Korea back to the United States, I was asked repeatedly, where are you from? And I would say, I'm from America. And people say, you can't be from America. I'm like, what do you mean I can't be from America? And then they would ask me, so where were you born? I was born in Seoul, South Korea. They said, well, you're Korean. I know deeply what it feels like to be part of the marginalized cultures. That's why it's so important to me to make sure that us as educators provide a venue that we continue to tell those stories, not because we think that that's the way the world should be, but that's the way the world has been and still is, and people of color and marginalized population need a place to go. But our majority culture folks also need that place to go to learn about our history. The history of this country was built on the backs of people of color. And we don't have to go too far from here. During the 1940s, the Bracerio program, I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, when the U.S. needed day laborers, they went to Mexico and brought Mexicans to this country to work the fields. And while they were here, they still didn't treat them well. And then when they decided they didn't need them any longer, what did they do? They engaged in Operation Wetback. You get it, right? When we wanted the railroads built, we brought the Chinese in here. And then while we're here, we mistreated them. And then, when we didn't need them any longer, we kicked them to the curb as well, right? That's the history of the United States of America. That history needs to be told. And look at what's happening present day. We're going to have a travel ban on folks from the Middle East. We're trying to build a wall to prevent folks from other countries south of us to come here. Remember, the wall didn't work for the Chinese. So what's going on? So we need a center of excellence for for ethnic and gender and transborder studies to make sure that we don't repeat history again, but also for marginalized populations to know that their identity is valued, that it has place, it has meaning, and it has contributions to this country that we all have sworn allegiance to. So that's why it's important to me. And to know that there was a group of faculty and staff who were committed to the same purpose, and that we could join hand in hand and arm in arm to make that happen, to become a reality. And then I found out recently that I don't know that there's any community college out there really doing what we're doing. So you know what that makes Pima? A leader again. Yes. And we're doing it at that premier level because we're going to create a center of excellence. And we've talked a lot about creating a centers of excellence here at Pima, but the model that this program is establishing will be the model of how we engage the community to build our Center of Excellence. So thank you for establishing the new benchmark for how centers of excellence are built, and more importantly, how we build community engagement. So that's what it's about. Yes. So I will close with the words of Marian Wright Edelman. For those of you who do not know who she is, African-American female who helped establish the Children's Defense Fund. And she was the president and founder of that organization. And she said, "The challenge of social justice is to evoke the sense of community that we need to make our nation a better place, just as we need to make it a safer place." I want to thank you all for your commitment to Pima Community College, to the community of Tucson and the greater Pima County and Southern Arizona area, because together we're building a great community college that's going to provide great opportunities to folks in the spirit of social justice. Thank you.
Chancellor, thank you very much. And on behalf of the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies Work Group, we'd like to give you this appreciation certificate for promoting excellence in social justice education.
Thank you, David. Thank you all.
Just to get a picture right here. Thank you. All right, thank you. Oh, quick shot up here.
Oh, you want me to, they want me to open it.
Oh, yeah, open your certificate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. Thank you very much, Chancellor. Okay, so now we get to some really valuable conversation that we really want to take place, because we want to hear now from the groups, from the workshops, in terms of what kinds of ideas you have for our Center of Excellence. So if those who are reporting, you could now come up here and line up by the microphone. Don't be bashful. We have our spokespeople coming up. So, so those who are reporting, each group reporting is going to have a minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds for you to articulate what kinds of ideas, and we've captured a lot of this in writing too, but we want to really hear about that now. And what's going to happen is you're going to hear a little chime when the time is up, okay? So then you'll know. Okay, so please go right ahead and begin.
Good afternoon.
Either side.
Kind of angle down here. Our group spoke about the components that we would like to see in this collective, and we asked who selects the team. We would like a diverse hiring committee, community members, educational representatives. Representation needs to be wide and inclusive. K through 12 representatives, business leaders, students, representatives from cultural and ethnic programs, as well as religious groups within the community. The center should have all layers of faculty, staff, administrators, and students, and should be highly visible and accessible. It should focus on empowerment, the promotion of acceptance and diversity, self-awareness, and pride in whoever you are. Our mission statement that we came up with is to empower our community's embrace of ethnic, gender, and transborder identity through the education and celebration of self, our differences, and common humanity to heal the sterilization effect of standardized assessments and the existing prevalence of assimilation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So can we go over to the other side of the room?
Okay, so for the components question, we had two major components that we wanted for this Center of Excellence. First is a physical space to provide resources, community build, provide a space for meetings, for workshops, and also to provide a nexus for research. So one of the main things that we really wanted to make sure of was that this Center of Excellence would be dynamic. So there would be an ongoing process of educating both ourselves, the college, and the surrounding community. We also talked about staffing, so having personnel. And this could be student interns, maybe sort of in line with existing curriculum, maybe students who are sort of studying certain areas, that kind of thing. Perhaps like student interns, having volunteers as well from the community. So we wanted to make sure it was a very inclusive space so that it's open to the community, kind of an open door, not just for the college. The personnel or the people involved in the center would perhaps work on grant writing, seeking funding, providing opportunities for networking, education, and connecting to community organizations. The second question about the mission statement. So our mission statement that we came up with collaboratively was the EGTS Center of Excellence is a safe community space where diverse populations come together for educational resources to foster values of respect, tolerance, inclusion, social justice, and open communication. And so we just really wanted to make sure, it's dynamic, it's inclusive, and it's a space to connect people to resources and each other, as well as their communities.
Thank you. And since we're doing okay on time, it's okay if you go a little over, so don't worry about that minute and 30 seconds.
All right. Our group came up with 6 main components we'd like to see. So the first is financial support and scholarship opportunities for students, continuing faculty and staff education and training, especially sensitivity training, dedicated advisement, especially advisors who are familiar with transfer requirements and how that works at universities, student input on curriculum, especially new course development, education through the arts, either in the form of classes or in the form of public events for the community. And the final component that we came up with was that it needs to be research-based or data-driven in terms of the teaching techniques. And then for the mission statement, we didn't come up with an exact wording, but we came up with some pieces that should be there. So the first is intersectional. The second is community outreach and engagement. The third is developed clear pathways to university and or career goals. Accessible education, and then finally interdisciplinary. And then also one member of our group came up with an idea for a new logo, so you should take a look. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Hey.
Hello. So for the first question, we envision the Center of Excellence empowering students with cultural knowledge and inspires them to have a voice. Innovation in scholarships and practice, expanding horizons, expanding knowledge, and make culture relevant changes in our society. For question number 2, we would like speakers, local and national, as long as they are relevant to the topic, the age group, speakers, and representatives. Effective teachers who create bonds with students, extra support outside of class, career opportunities, internships, encouragement to speak your mind, socially relevant, discovery and project-based learning, performance-based assessments, and Thai contemporary social culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey.
Buenas tardes. My name is Salo Escamilla, and our group, I'm from the CRPI department, Culturally Relevant Curriculum and Pedagogy and Instruction. We talked about that we already kind of have a K through 12 pipeline, that we need to establish a pipeline that goes from K through 12. We talked about getting the district and different districts to work together and different levels. We brought up the idea of high school students possibly receiving college credits for courses that they might take in ethnic studies, or even middle school students receiving high school credit, making some kind of system where that happens. Mentorships / community partnerships of scholarship exchange. We some of the ideas that were mentioned in the speeches came across too about, for example, how often, you know, many people from our community, they go into the fields of like technology or math and science. You know, a lot of times they end up being apolitical. And so it's real important that we make sure that we tap into to the other non-traditional, I guess, that aren't usually connected to ethnic studies kind of fields. Fostering the rich, powerful info background that students already have, and not going into a deficit model, making sure that we honor where the students come from and who they are. That we focus on health and healing, because one of the things that happens when, I know it happened with me when I started reading about ethnic studies, in particular Chicano studies, is that it made me very angry. And you know, eventually I was able to get that anger in the right direction, but some people aren't able to do that. So it's really important to have that as part of this program. Let's see what community contributions, increasing student awareness of what is available on campus, and then yeah, I think we pretty much got it. And then this is our mission statement. I didn't write it down. EGT fosters community partnerships to create a critically conscious democratic society via interdisciplinary education. EGT promotes social justice, inclusivity, and establishes safe spaces for health and healing. And then that's called Safos, and that means you can't mess with that. I know like homeboy from Juarez should know that, right?
I like it.
A mission that our group created was create an alliance dedicated to make an impact and adapt to changes in the generations that follow, build awareness and understanding that being different doesn't mean isn't negative. For the important components that we talked about was building a network of reliable resources for everyone, for the community, like a safe place, a safe zone for everyone, immigrants, transgenders, everyone for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's wonderful to hear that a lot of the things that we talked about are echoed through the other groups, so it's amazing that we already have such a unified voice amongst so many different people. But our mission statement that we chose was the Pima Community College EGTS Center of Excellence empowers students and our community to advocate at the grassroots, institutional, statewide, international levels for transformational inclusivity in safe, reaffirming, strength-based spaces. So a big thing that we spoke about was really just making an inclusive space where students, non-students, anyone that feels that this aligns with what they want to see in their community can participate, whether that's at events here at Pima, events outside of Pima, different artistic collaborations that we can do, community collaborations, getting our message out there via social media, a newsletter, podcasts, just getting our message out there so that people can feel that they can participate and take place in these discussions that help us to evolve and continuously improve upon this amazing community that we already live in.
Thank you.
Hello. So we just wrote down a bunch of things for question one. We have recognizing that we have different kinds of people and recognize their differences as well as coping with them, including legal issues on the mission, increasing access to education of these programs, making these courses more available to younger grades like K through 12, becoming agents of change, inspiring humans on their humanities, establishing a connection between higher education and grade school, and then a quote that one of our teammates said was, what it means to be or what it means to create or to have power with the connections one has in their life already, finding a safe house for who you are, the option to take culture classes through high school students and college students, so like working together, ethics studies K through 12, outreach to communities, to the community and to politicians local and nationally, outreach to media through social media so we can do it on our own terms, and just support diversity. And then for question 2, we said spreading the word through social media, spark students' interest and run with it, have art inspire the social justice, like hip hop and art and stuff like that. Pima campuses should work on a big project with the community to inspire these social justices. Make connections with other ethnic, gender, and transborder programs throughout Arizona and U.S. Support for all ethic courses through a center. Building a coalition of powerful agencies coming together for the ethics groups. Show evolution of the programs. We just said that language and culture were important. Support for social justice, continuity, and development of leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Dore and the facilitators for making us come up with a mission statement in less than 50 minutes. No, it worked out. I'm hearing a lot of awesome stuff, and our group talked about a lot of the same things that everyone else is talking about as well. I think one of the main things that I keep hearing from each one of the groups that's resounding is the idea of going into, is going into schools K through 12, especially the younger children, and introducing them to ideas like this. And we're all on the same page. We came up with our mission statement. Pima Community College's Center for Excellence is a facility that provides guidance, resources, early outreach, and mentoring to the community of Southern Arizona through rigorous discourse, education, and dissemination of information, while creating a broader lens with which we see ourselves and each other in order to decrease hatred and violence by promoting social justice through kindness, inclusion, and equality.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So, for the first question, our mission was to facilitate an information exchange between cultures both on and off campus, to provide support and resources to ethnic, gender, and transborder groups, integrating diversity curriculum into PCC's general education program. And our important components were safe space for support, discussion, and growth and development. We basically want this place to be something that's not only included for the students, but for all members of the community to be able to walk into there, get education, discuss with like-minded people. Cool. Promoting community awareness and continued education, creating a bridge from K through 12 to EGT education, turning the page, creating more multicultural events in schools and the community to promote an increased involvement and participation. Our group kind of agreed that a lot of us wouldn't have been here if it wasn't mandatory for a class, but we're really glad that we're here. And we think that this should be something that's made aware and available to people that aren't necessarily college students, but anyone in the community who feels strongly. And make more EGT initiatives available to the entire student body and general curriculum. And discuss this in more classes and give more just a general education of these different groups, because a lot of people who would come in here and just not know what we're talking about because they haven't gotten this general education about these issues. So I think that's really important to further our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm speaking on behalf of Room SW135. We spent quite a bit of time really focusing on the major components. We felt that was kind of important to really establish before we even talked about a mission statement. So, we kept talking about how it needed to be a conduit for the community to interact with the campus, It needed to be a medium for cross-disciplinary collaboration, a center for awareness and advocacy. But one thing we kept coming back to was this idea of a resource center. And it would physically and logistically act kind of like the heart and nerve center of it. And first, it would benefit the faculty in ways that, it helps to establish curriculum and resource strategies for teaching it, that ensures that faculty and staff are included and informed in the cross-disciplinary studies and also community engagement. For the students, it informs them about the classes and the programs, but also we were looking at the ideas of possibly creating internships and other community engagement opportunities so that they have tangible experiences in addition to the scholarly experiences. We talked about having a student advisory board and how, it not only is it give direct feedback from the students into the program, but it engages more students to become involved with it and make them aware of the importance of it and the extent to which it applies to everything we do here at this campus. And that also it would be a good thing to have students kind of be the faces of the program as well. And we also talked about it would be nice if we could find a way to make that a paid position, even if it was, tuition waivers and scholarships and such. Another big thing we talked about was it being a social and cultural center. The idea of it acting as a hub to really coordinate not only promote new programs that we'd be exploring, but to coordinate dozens of existing programs, both in the schools and communities, that in and of themselves can be a challenge to really engage the community and bring awareness to their cause. But if it had this hub acting on their behalf, would really, I think, extend the reach. So it would be good to have a center to coordinate and facilitate and communicate the activities. And it would also be useful to have a center for even performance and ceremonies. And finally, we talked about how there needs to be an awareness campaign involved to make it clear that the EGTS studies are not just the studies of distant borders or marginalized outsiders. It's a campaign of awareness in every community, in every school, and in every department we have here. As far as our mission statement, once we finally got to it, we came up with a lot of what we thought were keywords and concepts that we recorded. But one thing we did keep coming back to, or two things I should say. One was empowering diverse communities through transformative, inclusive, and accessible education opportunities, and also the creation of safe havens and crossroads for diverse communities to really be able to engage themselves. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey.
Hi. So we were kind of scattered, clearly. But we all had pretty much the same ideas. We would like to build a 2-story building because
You want a nice big facility.
oh yeah, definitely. So that this all fits in it. Yeah. So we would want a kitchen. For starters, first things first. No, I'm just kidding. We would like a study space, a library, resource area, a versatile common area, security. We want it to be a place built not only for the students, but for the whole community. The hours from like 8 a.m. to 5 at least, because not everyone can make it at like the specific times that we would have. So it'd be really cool if we had it more like a broad type of hours. To have like open dialogues and forums so we can get everyone's perspectives and ideas and build from them. The goal would be to become a community outreach and educational, and we can host workshops to teach about the ethnic, gender, and transborder courses in order to broaden border definition and experience, perspective, and knowledge beyond local communities. So the goal would be start off small and grow bigger and flourish so that not only our own like people here know about these situations, because it's different from reading about the border and living it. And by us living really close to it, our perspective is very different from other people farther away. So if we were to be able to contribute to that, then we would have more informed voters, and maybe issues can be resolved quicker if people are more informed and better informed and more educated on the subject itself. And the mission that we wrote down is an academic exploration and journey, both personal and collective, that empowers our local and global communities to transcend ethnic, gender, racial borders and physical borders, to promote critical consciousness, education, justice, and global awareness in an inclusive, welcoming, and safe learning environment.
Woo-hoo. Thank you. All right. We saved the best for the last.
Thank you. Okay. Buenas tardes, hermanos y hermanas. Para empezar, me gustaría decirles, oh, my bad. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Skylar McCook, and I come from the room 153B, and our energetic yet empathetic group of 8 people put together in order to answer the second question first, that our mission statement would be to recognize and honor diversity and genders through education. Also, thank you. To answer the first question, a center of excellence is a place to foster a greater opportunity through your own decisions and your own faculties, to enter your own life and in part come to understand it and decide the good in what could be, to be enchanted by the person staring back at you in the mirror. It is within that good that you may find in a center of excellence that you can find solace, peace, and happiness, that through your, that a center of excellence can offer non-credit workshops where volunteers can provide daily reminders that you, the local Pima County community, are loved. That perhaps it's cliche, but everything comes back to our love for others and our disposition to manifest it.
Woo-hoo. Wow, yay. Wow, that's very, very profound. Before we wrap up and go into the Q&A, I did want to share my own personal experience of today. You know, Dr. Kevin Henry, one of our panelists this morning, he spoke of how he created his own lens to see the beauty in a world made ugly by oppression. And make no bones about it, oppression is ugly, and oppression is very much real, and it is very much present in our world. But today, I have to say that I have seen a lot of beauty, so thank you. So I'd like to, on behalf of the work group, thank everyone for your participation in the afternoon's workshop. So all of your work today is going to be compiled into a proposal that the work group will work on for the Center of Excellence in Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies. And then that will be presented to the administration and presented to ultimately to our board. So I'd like to now invite the members of the work group, if you would please come on up to the stage. I'd also like to invite the Chancellor, my fellow campus president Lorraine Morales, Dean Suzanne Deschardin to join me, and the members of the work group. And we have a few minutes for questions, and so what we'd like to do now is to have a conversation and to go ahead and answer questions. And There's the microphones, and I think there's going to be some, we have the microphones up here, so you can just come up here, and many of us can answer your questions. We will also, I think we've got enough space. I don't think there's probably people in the overflow rooms now, so we won't need to email the questions. So, who wants to pose some questions for our group?
Work mic? Oh, yes.
Suzanne?
We're
Lorraine,
missing,
you
we're
can
missing
come up.
some work group members.
Chancellor still?
Alicia. Who else do I
Chancellor
see out
still
there?
here.
Lorraine. Who else do I see out there? Sandra. Are all our work group members up here?
Have Ricardo come up too. She won't get up. She's. Chancellor, you want to come on up? We're having a little Q&A. Okay, so if you have a question that's specific for the Chancellor, you're going to want to ask that now because he has another meeting he needs to go to. On our good news of coming fully off of sanction, which empowers this center all the more. So, if there are any questions specific for the Chancellor before he leaves.
Just so we don't lose you, sir, just so we don't lose you, I would direct my question to you. My excellent facilitator, Brooke Anderson, had a great point. And the point was that too often education has been a pyramid with the intent to narrow many of us out as we got closer and closer. How do you feel about her vision of flipping that pyramid? I thought that was a great comment on her part.
So you know, when I first interviewed for the job here, and I believe I told folks, I don't like hierarchies, okay? But I also know that hierarchies are also necessary for certain purposes. Because at the end of the day, you have to get things done, make sure everybody understands directions that you're trying to move in together, and then how do you align the resources that you have and make sure that there's the commitment to move in that direction. So that's where hierarchy can be of an advantage. But that's only if it's focused on the right kinds of things. But also, it's really not a true hierarchy, ever. Because I think in the 21st century especially, we have to work more inclusively to define the directions, to define those alignments. So really what we're talking about is a more matrix organization. So what you've seen us doing at Pima is trying to build that more matrix organization here. So we went from having 6 campuses with 6 separate identities, with 6 separate campus presidents, and 6 separate structures to say, no, we're going to think of it differently and start to align it where it's more matrix. So someone might actually have 2 or 3 people that they are accountable to because it's a matrix. And you might be accountable to someone on issue A, but a different person on issue B. But also there's still clarity about how decisions are going to be made, and that the decision isn't just one person's decision any longer, because that's the old model that existed here. But in that framework, it can create confusion, right? And so we have to learn to tolerate a little bit of ambiguity that as you start to move away from a pure hierarchical model. Because in a hierarchy, you clearly know who's making the decisions. But again, I don't think that's an effective model long term, right? So, but the trade-off is got to be comfortable with a little discomfort and ambiguity as a result of that. And I only like to step in when it's necessary to get things done. The nice thing is with building this center of excellence, I've not really had to step in and say, you will do it like this. I've been able to say, I support us building a center of excellence for ethnic, gender, and transborder studies please go figure out how you're going to do that, and I just back away, keep me updated. That's how it should work, right? And the only time I would step in is if they got stuck and they needed me to help unstick things, or I felt that they might cause a legal issue for the college, and then we would talk about it. I wouldn't unilaterally say no, but we're going to come back and talk about it. How do we work through it? Because sometimes the way you thought to get through a problem, there may be other ways to navigate that and still get to the destination you were hoping. It just might not be that straight line. So I think it's always this combination of things, right? So instead of just looking at it as flipping it, it's really that more matrix approach. And so that's what we've been building here, and I think you've seen that it's working. And an example of that are positive news that we got yesterday coming off of a sanction, because we were able to do it because we're doing it in this more matrix way. So thank you for the question. And again, thank you all for being here. And go Aztecs.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Felicia. And first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for all of the hard work that went into bringing about this day, and for everything that you guys have done to help educate us and to help promote what you're doing here. It's awesome. Actually, I have two questions, and I might have missed this, so forgive me if this is a redundant thing that you're repeating, but I missed part of the streaming just because it was a little patchy in our room. But when is the proposed date for the Center of Excellence fruition? Like, when is that going to come about?
That was a Chancellor question.
I was hoping to catch him. Do you want me to go get him? No, just kidding.
So we're in the information gathering stage at this point in time. We have been the leadership team that works with the Chancellor identified the priorities that were put together in the Educational Master Plan, with the identification of centers of excellence as one of the priorities. So at this point in time, we're gathering information right now, and priorities have been set starting now through the next 9 years. So some will happen sooner rather than later. We're anticipating 8 or 9 centers of excellence, not including this one. So this one would make it like the 10th one. But I can tell you that this one is probably the one that has, it's in the forefront because of the information that's being provided to us. So I don't have an exact date, but it will be sometime in the next few years.
Great.
But the work will continue. I mean, we have the program already. It's just the full establishment of a center of excellence.
And I think, one of the things we were talking about today, which is really to give much credit to this group, and particularly I want to, really recognize Francisca and Rosalia, because this is actually, yes, I really want to, this summit and this environment is a model for how to go about creating a center of excellence. So, we talk about a center of excellence in applied technology, but this is the model right here. Before you build it, you envision it and you talk about it. And so I think what's exciting to me is that we're not putting the cart before the horse, right? We are actually getting the community. The other thing that Kevin said today, we must be fully integrated into the community. Education is never in isolation, and so I think it's exciting that we're here at the grassroots. So, but I would see that, and I think you saw Francisca as she was laying out this momentum of how you progressively move to a center. Our first step, of course, was to actually create a lead faculty position and then begin the infrastructure. So we are doing that.
And the second part of my question actually is, besides the funding, what else do you view as a contributing important factor to establishing the center itself? Like, what else do you envision goes into that? I don't know if that is too broad, but I mean, besides the funding to make this come about, what else do you see as a priority in laying the groundwork for it?
Well, I think we had to demonstrate to ourselves and to others, both in and outside of the college, that this was viable in a variety of ways, that it was viable in terms of community interest, that it was viable in terms of a operational vision. And I feel that, starting especially last year with the Ethnic Studies Forum, and then we had a big event in the fall, plus all the sort of background work we've been doing on curriculum, the courses, the concentration, working to develop relationships within the college with other faculty, staff, administration. I feel we're at a place, especially with what has happened today and with all of you being here and your participation and your comments, this is very vital. It's really vital that you all are here right now, and that you are participating and demonstrating to everyone who's sitting here and to the Chancellor who is here that this is a priority. In my view, we have demonstrated that we are viable, and now the next step is to get a funding base within the college. So I think that's now, because we've been working on really no additional funds. We've had to, most of the money for this event, we had to raise outside of the college. So now we need to, I feel we have demonstrated our viability, and now we have a strong basis on which to make a proposal. And we continue to need to have the community involved every step of the way. I agree with Dr. Dore that we are demonstrating a model. It's like that definition in the Center of Excellence of new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things. It's creating education from the ground up, or with in hand with the community. We're not we do have our committee meetings, but we are always thinking about how do we bring in community, how do we connect with community, how do we have community members on our work group, how do we have students on our work group. We're open in that sense, because we feel we have to be in order to create the new vision of education that's very relevant and meaningful, and that brings more people from the community into the college and helps us grow as an institution.
I think I'm Ywca Carranza. I'm psychology faculty at Desert Vista campus, and very proud to be a part of this team, and under the leadership of Francisca and Rosalia. They've done an impressive job. And I think just the fact that, that what I would add is that Tucson is very unique. Pima is very unique in terms of the love and nurturing that goes on in creating programs like this that are very important, because they give back to the community, and we also become enriched by what the community offers to Pima. So I think that's what I would add to it.
I just wanted to add to Francisca's points about how absolutely critical it is to have student input. You know, really, I feel that your voice is perhaps the most important voice. You know, I too am an old man. I'm not as old as Dr. Lycan or Mark Hanna, but I'm an old man. And I find that, you know, like today, the brilliance that comes out of young people and the creativity, you know, that has not yet been, you know, kind of slammed down yet. So I think that voice is so critical to us moving forward and making decisions.
Oh. Hello, my name is Maria Cinco, and today my question is, how can DACA students get scholarships?
I'm Suzanne Desjardins, and I'm the Dean of Social Sciences and Student Affairs. And so on the other side of my role is certainly academic advising, counseling, working directly with financial aid with our scholarship office. I would always say if you are a student, any students in the room, even potential students who are wanting to explore PIMA or wanting to talk about career goals, I just talked with someone today about career counseling, and that's a free service our counseling faculty provide to anyone in the community. Come and start with a counselor, because that is the counselor's role and job, to identify what your goals are and how to help you get there and how to remove barriers. And so we do work very closely with Matt Matera and Scholarships AZ, and that's one of our strongest community partners and allies in helping undocumented students and DACA students find resources, but that isn't the only place and the only resource. So I would say let's start a conversation with a counselor, and I'd be happy to talk with you afterwards as well.
I guess I'll just bend over. Hi, I'm Brooke Anderson. I'm English faculty on this campus, and this was such an inspiring day. Thank you so much. And my question, which I actually had this morning that I wanted to pose to everybody today, is, you know, how do we achieve these goals and use assessment to do that? Because assessment can be an incredibly dehumanizing thing and go against the goals of a center like this. So I'd love to hear your ideas on assessment's role here.
I'm Sandra. I'm writing faculty at Desert Vista. We were talking about this in our group today. Because I come from an experimental college that had no grades. Narrative evaluations, which still exists at UC Santa Barbara, but we were talking about, Santa Cruz, Colorado, Closer to the mic, okay. Ooh, wow, what a difference. Yeah. Okay. We didn't come up with any answers, but we were saying that part of the conversation has to be pedagogy as such. You know, if we're talking about student empowerment, then what does it mean if a student doesn't have power over the curriculum, how the student is assessed, where the student goes from there? So no answers, but it needs to be part of the conversation.
I'm Maggie Golston. I'm a volunteer, and I'm also English faculty. So I guess Brooke and I could talk like ex parte. But we are using, as a part of our assessment process for written communication, a value rubric from the American Association of Colleges and Universities. Interestingly enough, there's a global literacy rubric in that same set. There's a diversity rubric in that same set. So I think that this is a problem in higher education written large, and that lots of institutions will be using and collaborating on new materials, you know, by the week, you know. And I think that would be a good place to start any kind of assessment, is with those AAC and U value rubrics.
Thank you.
And I would just add that there is a lot of empirical evidence that speaks to the efficacy of ethnic studies. You know, as we heard Dr. Henry reference out of Stanford, out of U of A's MAS study, we already know that students that partake in these courses are retained and are more successful, statistically higher at rates than the students who don't. So, and as well with gender. And so our responsibility as a social justice institution calls us to action to figure out those exact questions. Assessment doesn't have to be a bad word. It's all about how we tell the story with our data, which is not just quantitatively, but qualitatively. And these types of events and hearing from all of you as community members and students help us to basically put together those narratives and help us tell that story.
And to Suzanne's point, you know, my old stomping ground, San Francisco, she cites the Stanford study. If you want to look at the efficacy of ethnic studies from an assessment model, go look at the San Francisco Unified School District and look at the radical increases of completion of high school and then movement to college based upon students who have been enrolled in ethnic studies. So there's a lot of assessment data out there to show student success, radical improvements at the high school level and certainly at the community college level as well.
Can I just add to that the TUSD La Raza Studies program also had quite a bit of assessment data showing its success in graduation, in persistence, and achievement in the school. So it just goes to show our struggle is not just one of providing the right education, right? We have a larger political struggle to deal with.
I'm Lynn Saul. I teach Writing 102 in the Border Culture program. I also teach Humanities 260, the Multicultural Humanities courses. And one of the things that really has concerned me is that Pima is now on this, I don't know exactly the title of it, but it's a fast track to have everybody graduate in 2 years program. And the idea is that when you start, you get, your advisor tells you, take this class, take this class, take this class, you're on this track, and that's it. And there's no opportunity for students to explore some of the more maybe unusual courses which will be part of ethnic, gender, and transborder studies. And so I think we're going to miss out on a lot of students, and yet all of this discussion has been how valuable these courses are for students generally in terms of improving their critical thinking and their level of understanding that they are important, but also progressing academically. And so, and also in getting into these fields. And this was also something that Dr. Lugo mentioned in terms of anthropology, and courses like that are not considered marketable. So what can Pima do, particularly through the idea of this Center for Excellence, to get away from that? When you finish high school, you know what you're going to do for the rest of your life, take these courses and do it, to a more exploratory approach.
And I just want to clarify before jumping to answer the question, what our approach is to a pathway model. It really is to give students clear information. Where a lot of institutions have gone wrong is they don't give students clear pathway information. And I think that's what Pima is trying to clean up. It's not either or. We're not trying to say you're going to be tracked and you have no choice. What we want to move away from, and this does our students a disservice, a student who spends 4 or 5 years and at the end of it they have nothing. They don't have a degree, right? So what we are doing is saying, you know, if you want to be on a 2-year path to transfer in ethnic and gender studies to the University of Arizona, here's your pathway, and you can go and explore, and we'll give you maybe build in some electives into that, but you have to give the student clear information that if you go explore and you're going to take culinary for a year, that means that pathway, you're going to be delayed for a year. So that's really what we want to do with the pathway model, is give the students a very clear presentation of what the requirements are for transfer, or if they're looking for, you know, workforce certificates or degrees as well. So we do not want to diminish, you know, students being able to explore and take other courses, but we do want to give them very clear information, because what I've heard from students over and over and over again is, I want clear information. If I do know that I want to get a degree in women's studies from the University of Arizona, then I don't want to waste 120 units at Pima College.
I think what's happening, though, is that for many students, when they get out of high school and start at Pima College, they have no idea that these subjects even exist. So that's my concern. And what I'm hearing...
And that's why we're trying to do a lot more with new student orientation, and I think some of the other people on the panel can talk much more about that in terms of we want to expose students to the array of offerings that they may choose. And this is one of the purposes of creating a Center for Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies is to expose students to these fields as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would just also respond that if you're looking at the construct of social justice, you cannot examine that outside of the other flip side of that paradigm, which is injustice. So social justice has to be looked at from both sides. Where is the injustice? How do you balance that? It is an injustice that we are not, as David pointed out, making clear transparently for students. How do you get in and out of the community college environment to either your career pathway or to your university transfer degree? And we have failed as a nation. This is not just a PIMA problem. It's certainly not unique to higher ed. And so that is why the Pathways Initiative project is now in almost 50 states. 15 to finish is not even a new concept. This has been around since the 70s. What has changed here at the institution is academic advising. And that has always been our cornerstone, and we strayed from that for a time when we did one-stops and did generalist models, and now we are returning to an assigned advising model, which will tie in with our pathways model and our roadmaps, if you will, for lack of a better way to explain it. How do you sit down with a student when they first walk in the door? Who is their go-to person? How do you have those conversations and those partnerships and that team approach to a counselor, to a faculty member, to an assigned advisor, and how do you have the conversations of how do you explore within meeting your general education requirements? And there is a way to do that, and many of the maps that we've built, the deans have built with the faculty to allow for that. In fact, in social sciences, all of the pathways that we've built so far have those pieces in, that flexibility, and we'll be further refining it. But I did want to just point out that we certainly can't continue to offer a cafeteria model either, because it is serving as an injustice, and it actually shoots us in the foot with what we're actually trying to do as a social justice institution.
I think we've got about a couple more minutes. So I think we have 2 more questions, so we'll go ahead.
My name's Jesse Merriman. I'm a returning student here. I kind of curious, I know this is early stages for this, but for students who would actually be very interested in getting involved and engaged in the process at the current time, especially while I'm still here as a student, is there anything that's in place right now where we can get involved or assist or in any fashion?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, you could, we have had students on our work group. It's, according to their interest, time, and that they know about it, Jessica Pacheco was a very active member last year. She was a student. She's transferred over to the university. She's been a member this year, but because of the demands of her university studies plus other things, she hasn't been as active this year. But we do welcome students onto the work group. So that's a direct way. But it's also, we have other ways of being active as a student at the college. There are many student clubs here at the downtown campus. There's a diversity club. We have had MECHA, which is Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán. We've had at other campuses LGBTQ, gay and ally clubs. So, the clubs are very much according to student interest and time and energy. If you want to start your own club, you absolutely could. If there's other ways you want to get involved and don't see happening, talk to somebody, talk to a faculty member, talk to a staff member, an administrator. Tell us what you need and what is it that you see that we could be doing that we're not and that we can do in collaboration with you.
Okay, thank you.
Right, our last question.
Hi, I'm Kiki York. I'm a student here, and I was wondering if there's a way to make the community more aware about this and give their ways for the community to help participate and help fundraise with this, and to open the dialogue to other community colleges around the state and around the country about this and about how to create this for themselves.
Well, I'll just start, as you're trying to figure out, we'll start that we want to thank the work group for really putting Pima on the map, because we've been bringing speakers down from Arizona State University, from Northern Arizona University, from the University of San Francisco. So in the academic university realm and in the community colleges in Arizona, folks are well aware of what's going on here at Pima. So I think on a state level, and particularly with the leadership that took place essentially at Pima for the Articulation Task Force. So there's a lot of recognition, I think, and knowledge at the state level, and I think we are becoming recognized at the state level that this would be a natural progression for Pima. And then we are working more closely with our foundation to get the word out about the center as well. But you might want to talk about some other things.
I just wanted to mention that one of the things that we're doing also collectively, and anyone here in this room is welcome, to be part of what we're trying to do, is to connect more with the tribal and the nations around us at a state level, and also Four Corners, and wherever we can see the possibilities for us to network and enlarge that constellation, of individuals who believe in social justice and who do want to play, that we are here to be able to consolidate, this vision that we have, not for the future, but for the present, the here and now, as we stand, because we need to do that. And we need to become very much conscientious and aware of the power that we have, and how important democracy is for all of us. To hold it in our hands and to fight for it, and to fight for our spaces, and to fight for the right to be who we are, and the right, for the building and the nurturing of our own identities, and the respect, for having a motor of action that connects us with others, and that we also embrace others, so that Pima Community College has taken the baton, if you want to see it that way, the leadership to bring in other colleges at a state level. And we have Central, and we have Scottsdale, and we have Mesa. They're starting. Cochise is represented here today. So please give them an applause because they are here. And Diné College is also here, is represented, huh? And Cecilia Lewis, is Professor Lewis here? Professor Lewis is over there. Stand up, please. Please. Thank you so very much. Okay, and so, we are like little speckles of lights, luminarios, in the universe, but we're connecting, and every time that we touch ourselves, we sparkle. And the sparkle is the essence of fire, and the fire is the essence of change, okay? So don't be afraid about that, because it can only cause more spaces to be open. So I do appreciate your question. It's a difficult question, but it's a question that we're all making together, and you're in. So I expect to see you sometime soon.
Oh, God.
I wanted to just respond a little bit, because Kiki asked the question, what can you do, or what can happen to publicize what's going on? Talk to people. Talk to people. Everybody leave and talk to people about what happened today, and spread the word. You are the most important in doing that. And also, not to put anybody on the spot, but how many have taken Mexican American Studies class? How many have taken Gendered Women's Studies class? Take one. How long has it been? 20 years maybe. Take another one. Come and take a class, because that's really, that's where the rubber hits the road, is we can demonstrate that there is interest in the community. And here at the college, we're trying to make it viable in terms of credits and in terms of people's futures, future employment, future. That's a little more out of our hands, right? But we're trying to at least inform people better than we have, and we're trying to make the curriculum more user-friendly, as David was explaining and as Suzanne was explaining. We need to do better as a college. We're working on that, and ethnic and gender and transborder studies is a part of that. That's why we have the 5 pathways now. We have our pathways, and we're working on them still. This is something that's new for the college, new for us. But we also are part of the social justice movement that, you know, we want to get students through their, to their dream the most efficient way without adding additional obstacles. But yes, they should have the opportunity to dream and explore. And we don't always have the control over that because student financial aid is a federal program. And those purse strings are controlled by the Congress. Again, we hit the wall of politics, right? So what else can you do? Vote. You need to vote.
I think also anytime that we can write articles in Community College Times and the Chronicle, writing articles about what it is that we are doing, giving presentations at national and regional conferences, because this is new, this is different for community college. Most often found in PhD programs, not in community colleges.
Okay. Hello. Well, I would like to say that, okay, my name is Bardo Padilla. I'm also part of the organizing committee. But these 2 saguaras locas were the ones that started this. and the thing is that all of us are special in our own way. We have this seed that is making us unique. Whatever it is your background, whatever it is your experience, we are all very unique, but we have the same mentality. We want to be this collective that is moving forward, that is taking this to the next level. And it was because of these 2 that have been trying for the longest, and then this is a reality. Last year, I mean, they were thinking about it, we started getting the support, and last year we had the forum, and this year we have this tonight or today. So it's growing, and the word is getting out there. We have artists, so use your bodies, use your intellect, use your expression, use your words, but most importantly, your heart, because you know where it's at. You know how to open it so that we can become this collective under the same vibration, under the same stream. You know, it doesn't matter if you're an administrator, if you're a student, we're all these human that is here to do something, to create something, and we're creating it all together, and that's the beauty of it. So there are ways, there is infrastructure. If not, we create it. You know, there's the resistance. We go against the stream, but we're a collective. And again, it takes 1 fool or 2 saguaras, right? So thank you. We're here all together in this. So yeah, spread the word. Use your bodies. Use, you know, whatever tools you have to get that powerful message out there. This is who I am, and this is what I want to see. And thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Just real quickly, I also want to mention out in the community, the YWCA, and of course, after November, I was very disheartened, and it was very hard to kind of figure out what can I do. So as the days go forward, the question I think that all of us are asking, what can I do as you're asking that question? And actually, I decided to start going into some areas where I can inform myself. And this is certainly one of those avenues to keep myself in and really keep informed with what's going on and hearing from those of the young generation and what your experiences are like. But on Sunday, and I believe you'd have to sign up for this, but the YWCA is actually having a social justice training, and I'm going to be going to that. So that's my investment of time to make sure that I'm there, and they're going to use Martin Luther King's words to help in motivating us to figure out how do we move forward in this community. And they are going to have another training, so if you don't make this one, there are going to be others, I know. So the other is just simply with your friends. Have a conversation, start a little group. I know when I was in my doctoral program at UC Santa Barbara, we had a women of color group, and we met once a month, and it was wonderful. We ate, we talked, we laughed, we cried, we read, we informed each other about our experiences of going through education as a woman of color, and I think those are unique to us, and those are important for us to understand and admire and appreciate. And I don't think we have too many avenues to be able to do that. So wherever you can create that, even on social media. I'm an old folk, so I don't use social media to express too much on there, but maybe you do as a means to blog and talk about your experiences and what you're wanting to grow and change and become. And you'll find followers, I'm sure.
All right. All right, thank you very much, Ywca. So I'm a strict timekeeper, and my job is to keep us on time. But I would like to get you in. We've got about 2 minutes, so if we'll have a minute for each question.
Hi, my name is Alonso Quesada. I actually used to come to Pima Community College, but my question is, with the integration of like gender and ethnic, often with ethnic groups, religion is a really important factor, and any type of religion often imposes that it's very taboo to be anything that's LGBTQ. So as far as that, how is it going to be like where it's protected, or how is it going to be like where you can actually integrate those two to coexist and like make such a beautiful kind of area where everybody can like be themselves and also not be hated in any way?
Hi. That's a really good question, and I think that's something that I'm Alicia Vasquez. I teach for the Border Cultures program at the Desert Vista campus. I think that's something, right, this notion of intersectionality that all of us up here have faced, right? Coming from one particular culture and having other parts of yourself that maybe don't fall in line. And so I think that notion of intersectionality is also pushing forward this vision for the Center of Excellence. So to have informed people that are a part of it, including your teachers and staff down, passing that knowledge along to our youth, I think is the really important part. But also, I think what's really important and humbling for us and the older generations is to listen to what our youth are saying, right? Because we know that things are going to constantly change. And so while it may have been one way for us back in the day, we know that that time is going to consistently change, and we need to make space to listen to your needs.
Very powerful.
And also, I have a small feminist group that started in Northwest Campus, and we were talking about safe spaces. And so the Center of Excellence would be that safe space where that conversation can happen. So.
And it's funny, when I was at the Korea event last year, I have to say I was just so impressed with the high school students that were there. I'm a gay man, grew up in the 60s. High school was the most awful place for any gay person to be, because you're just going to get the daylights beat out of you. But these students, 7th graders are going and studying LGBTQ issues and then presenting. That's the kind of empowerment that we really need to do, and we need to educate our religious leaders as well. And I think that's one of the things that as one who grew up Catholic, I felt that my role was to educate my church as well. Okay.
Can we just, since you mentioned Korea, Gabriel Higuera is in the audience. Can we recognize Gabriel? Would you please stand up as the leader of Korea? And you're supposed to be up here too as a member of the work group, but anyway, come on up, come on. Oh, and
Oh, I'm supposed to introduce myself, sorry. Joanne Taylor, Northwest Campus, History, Sociology, and Gender and Women's Studies.
Okay, I guess you know who I am, right? But I do not have a question. It's more of a comment. I mean, I really would like to thank all of you, every single one of you, for what you have done, why you know, not just for today, but in your careers, I'm pretty sure. And I really want to thank the administration as well. Without the administration support, you know, no matter how progressive and good for society a program is, you know, it might not go anywhere. And I've seen that administrators rise and fall for different reasons. And I know that we're all vulnerable in many ways. And but this event today was incredible. Incredible. The talent that I heard and saw with the youth, the young people, it just really, you guys have inspired me again after all these years. And I see myself in you. I was, of course, high school students and an undergrad, and I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And when I got into anthropology, remember I said that I changed from business to anthropology. People were like, what are you going to do? Why are you doing this? You're going to starve. Yes, and so if you listen to people because of the market and not, you know, or if you only pay attention to that, you know, you might not end up doing what actually is good for you and for society. But you need to be strong and patient for sure. But remember that there's always individuals in the academy, one or two. You don't need a whole group, but even one person can rescue your dreams. In my case, he was a white professor. There were no Latino, Chicano professors of anthropology at New Mexico State. So it's the ideas, not always the biology of a person that matter. You can have very conservative people of color, right? So now I really believe, as you know, I've been at several universities, and what I see happening here at Pima Community College is incredibly, needed. If leadership in higher education is going to come from community colleges, then this is it. You know, don't think that four-year college universities are doing, all of them doing their job, not necessarily. So you guys are at the cutting edge. And I do believe that with this training in ethnic, gender, and transborder studies, when you move on to, you know, again, beyond the college here, you're going to be stronger and better journalists, stronger and better artists, stronger and better anthropologists, stronger and better politicians because of this training. This is needed for understanding society and its future. So I do think that it is, in the best interest, especially of the next generations, that we in higher education, continue to use what's, the best tools that we've learned from traditional disciplines and traditional fields. But the world has changed tremendously, right? And it is about borders, no matter how you slice it, right? And most of your professors are not ready for that world. Or most politicians, right, are not ready for this world. And I think that it is in part our responsibility as educators. I don't think I thought I was doing my job as an anthropologist. I thought I was doing my job as an ethnic studies person. I thought I was doing my job, by engaging with feminism and gender. But everything had to come together. It cannot just be one or the other. And border studies allows you for that. Now, it depends on whom you talk to, that's true, right? But this is a great model. I just want to say that there's a history of consciousness program at UC Santa Cruz. What is that? People would ask, what is that, right? I mean, it became one of the most prominent, units nationally to do studies of society and culture. And people are getting actually hired. There's a lot of, more than what we think, more and more, there are several interdisciplinary programs, American studies, women and gender studies, ethnic studies, border studies. And you are trained, they are being trained, all of these scholars, young scholars, and I train PhDs, that's my job, to train the next generation of professors. Because whom are you going to hire, right, in your colleges? They got to have some PhDs, so you guys please get inspired to not just think about the bachelor's, but all the way to the top.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So would like to thank everyone for this has been a very informative discussion. So we'd like to now recognize some of the key individuals, offices, and organizations that have made today's summit possible, as well as the growth of the ethnic, gender, and transborder studies at Pima College. So will all of the members of the ethnic, gender, and transborder studies work group on stage and around the room please stand up so we can recognize you? The work group, please stand up. So this year's, yes, fantastic. This year's work group is comprised of over 30 faculty, staff, administrators, a student from Pima College, a representative from the University of Arizona, Cochise College, TUSD, and a community member. You can find each of their names on the back of the program for today's summit. As a collective, they have 4 very special recognitions to award.
Me first? Okay. Ready? Tell me when you're ready. Ready? Now? Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. I'm Margarita Yongo. I teach history, Mexican-American Studies, faculty at the West Campus. On behalf of the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies work group, we call Yolanda Gonzalez to step forward to be recognized for her exceptional contribution. Yolanda is a support coordinator at the East Campus. Her logistical and organizational skills take any event that she touches to the next level. Yolanda has been a great advisor and a friend. We thank her deeply for all she does for Pima and for ethnic, gender, and transborder studies. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Joanne Taylor. I am Sociology, History, Gender and Women's Studies faculty at Northwest Campus. Our second honoree is Mike Rom. Where is he? He is Instructional Media Coordinator at Downtown Campus. Mike has been the tech wizard of Oz at the Downtown Campus. He does so much for so many people with good humor, professionalism, and great skill in the sound and visual technical arts. Thank you, Mike, for all you do, and thank you from us at Pima and for the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diana Repp, Anthropology and American Indian Studies faculty at the West Campus. Our third honoree, Margarita Yongo, is a history faculty member who has been a vital member of the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies work group from almost the beginning, some 15 months ago, and has worked on every major event we organized. In addition to teaching Mexican-American studies, her tireless work on college committees and with faculty colleagues, she has advanced and improved curriculum, including the creation of our new concentration in the liberal arts in ethnic, gender, and transborder studies. We thank Margie for her contributions of time, money, and intellect, her dedication, and her faith in the power of ethnic, gender, and transborder studies.
I get this one. Good afternoon, everybody. Our last honoree is Andrew Couture. Come on up, Andrew. Andrew is the support coordinator for the Downtown Campus President, Dr. David Doré. We honor and are most grateful to Andrew for his outstanding service to the college and the community. In recognition of all your contributions, we offer you this Phoenix Rising as a symbol of how you have left us in better shape than when you first arrived. We are very sad to say that today is Andrew's last day at Pima. We are also happy that he is leaving us to work close by at the University of Arizona. Andrew, we will dearly miss the kindness, efficiency, hard work, ethic, talent, and smiles you have brought us daily at the downtown campus. Thank you, Andrew, for all you have done for us at Pima and for the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies Summit. Thank you.
Andrew's been keeping me running smoothly for the last 2 years, so Monday morning, watch out.
Hello, everyone, again. The Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies Work Group and Pima Community College thanks its sponsor for their financial support. And here is a line of sponsors and money that came and went, okay? Arizona State University, Chicanos por la Causa, yoo-hoo! Cochise College, yoo-hoo! Paulette, Jason's Deli, La Estrella Bakery, yoo-hoo! Mexican American Studies at the University of Arizona, the NEH Border Culture Grant at the Desert Vista campus, yoo-hoo! The Pima Community College Foundation and the James Hernandez Padilla, Rep, Schultz, Solórzano, and Urtubey and Yongo families. Okay.
We also extend a special thanks to Lee Lambert, Chancellor, Pima Community College. Dr. Dolores Duran Cerda, Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Services. Yes. Dr. David Duray, Downtown and Northwest Campus President. Would you please come forward and accept your certificate? Thank you. Oh. Dr. Lorraine Morales, Community and East Campus President. Would you please come forward? Thank you so much. Dr. Yida Brimage, Vice President for Student Affairs. And then we call up Dr. Suzanne Desjardins, Dean of Social Sciences and Student Affairs. Our dear Dean. Off our emblem, our rainbow. We thank you all for your administrative leadership, your hard work, your financial backing, and your faith in ethnic, gender, and transborder studies, and the ability of faculty, staff, students, and community members to come together to uplift students and the community through knowledge and education. Thank you.
We would also like to thank the staff members of the following services at Pima: Instructional Media, Instructional Technology Services, Facilities and Finance at the downtown campus, Media and Print Productions at the district office, which also provided the publicity materials, and Video Services at Community Campus, which provided the video streaming and the videotaping of today's summit. We would also like to thank the faculty at Pima Community College in American Indian Studies, Anthropology, Art, Gender and Women's Studies, Global Studies, History, Literature, Mexican American Studies, Sociology, World Languages, and Writing. Thank you.
We also thank our close partners at the Department of Mexican American Studies at the University of Arizona, Dr. Ana Ochoa O'Leary, Department Head, doctoral student Sophie Alves, doctoral student Gabriel Higuera, and the students of Collaborative Research in Action, CRIA. We give a special shout out to the students who volunteered today. Many of these students are from classes in anthropology, sociology, and gender and women's studies at the downtown campus. We also thank the many other faculty, staff, students, and community volunteers who make ethnic, gender, and transborder studies and the summit possible. Thank you, and mil gracias to all.
Okay, so let's please give one more round of applause for everybody that made today happen. Okay. So here's really to all of you who came out and participated in the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Summit. Without you, none of this would be possible. So a special thank you to everyone who volunteered. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please take a moment after the ceremony to visit the student art exhibits, as well as to talk with some of the authors at the book signing and university recruiters who might still be with us. Now I would like to introduce you to Ywca Tizer. Ywca is a community Dharma leader and has been studying, practicing, and teaching formal meditation techniques for over 35 years. She began practicing more than 20 years ago and teaches weekly classes in mindfulness, meditation, a Buddhist book study group, a Buddhist teachings at Tucson Community Meditation Center, and the Desert Insight Meditation. Ywca is a longtime student of the Japanese tea ceremony, Chado, and is the author of the book Tea Here Now.
I'm going to stand to the side also because I'm so small and this podium is so large. So I can see you all and you can see me. Before I begin the offering of a blessing, I just want to say that I was here this morning and not this afternoon, and more than anything, what I take away with me from all of this is the aliveness that comes forth, that so many of us are willing to really say, there's a pink elephant in the room, and not ignore what's really going on deeply for most of, or for so much of our society today. It was a blessing to be here, and I'm honored to be here now to offer this blessing to you. So what I'm going to be offering is called metta and merit. And the word metta is a Pali word. This is an ancient language that was spoken in India and Southeast Asia that the Buddha actually spoke. And the word metta means loving friendliness. And merit means that we offer the benefit of what we gained here today and our willingness to share it with others around us and in the world, in the same way that you've been encouraged to bring it out to people. This is through our minds, concentration in our heart, to take some time to just be a little more inner focused, a little more slowed down, and to be with these words. So I will begin to give a little bit of instruction, and then all you need to do is just listen or take the words in. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. So I'd like to invite everyone, if you feel comfortable, to allow your eyes to relax. Just to take a moment to feel yourself sitting here on the chair, or standing if that's what you're doing right now. And to bring some awareness to the breath in your body. In other words, take some full inhalations and some complete exhalations. Just take a few of those so you feel that breath that is always with you, that can be a focus for your attention and your energy, and can help you to relax and be more at ease. So as we all are here together, breathing and being, I would like to continue with these words. May all beings be at peace within themselves. May all beings be at peace with one another. May all beings live in peace. May the work that I have done here today and what I have received be not only for myself. May I share it with others, with loved ones, with family, with friends, with neighbors, with coworkers, with people I pass by on the street, with those that I do not know and those that I know, those that I see and those that are unseen. May I also share the benefit of this day with my beloved pets, with my beloved plants and trees and foliage, with Mother Earth, all that she bears, all that she carries, all that she supports and gives. May the benefit of this practice include our solar system and all the other planets within it. May it go beyond that to the other universes we are just starting to know more about. And may this practice bring peace to all beings everywhere. Thank you so much. May you take this with you, and may it help to give you energy and strength in the beautiful work that you're doing. Thank you.
Lasha, could you come